Muscovies are not more closely related to geese and turkeys than ducks. This misnomer has been spread about quite a lot, but they are in fact true ducks, which means they're not very closely related to turkeys at all. Let me show you the current taxonomic placement of Muscovies. The closest living relatives of the Muscovy are the Mandarin and Carolina ducks, followed by diving, dabbling, which includes the mallard, and stiff-tailed ducks. As you can see, the closest relatives of Muscovies are all ducks. Once you get past most of the ducks, there's the geese. And it's only when you go far back enough, before the split of Galliforms and Anseriforms, back to the Gallo-Anserans, that Muscovies and turkeys share ancestry. For perspective, this means that Muscovies are more closely related to every duck pictured on the left than they are to geese, and that they are of equal relation to both geese and swans. But it's true that they are not a descendant of the mallard, unlike all other domestic breeds, which are all, by the way, the same species. And so Muscovies are closer to ducks, swans and geese than they are to turkeys, with each belonging to a separate bird order. The existence of mule or mallard ducks shows that Muscovies are closely related to mallards and other ducks. These mule ducks are crosses between Muscovies and medium-sized domestic mallard descendants. You don't see goose Muscovy hybrids or turkey Muscovy hybrids, and I think the only reason why you don't see Mandarin Muscovy hybrids is because of the size difference. But if Muscovies are true ducks, why do they sound like geese and look like turkeys? The truth is that quite a few duck species don't quack. Some duck species can make some really bizarre sounds. Some of them make more of a whistly sound, although you could argue that the whistling ducks are not true ducks. I use monophyletic groups, and as you can see, whistling ducks place very far out on the tree. So you can either say they're not true ducks, or they are true ducks along with the mallard, but this also means that geese and swans have to be ducks, which is the principle I used in ducks and not ducks. The red turkey-like caruncles of the Muscovy are likely just an example of convergent evolution or selection. Red faces are seen across many different bird orders that are of course sometimes not very closely related at all. The red is a sign of the bird's health, which is often selected for by a bird of the opposite gender, and as I've said before, can also have an important impact in terms of ontogeny, as immature young birds often don't display such features. It is, however, important to note that wild Muscovies don't have quite as much red on their faces. Over time, Muscovies with more pronounced caruncles have been selected, similar to how chickens have been on occasion selected for more pronounced combs. Now, let's recap some statements. Muscovies are true ducks. Correct. Muscovies resemble geese and turkeys. True, I suppose. Muscovies are more closely related to geese and turkeys than ducks. Wrong, simply untrue. Muscovies are the same species as mallards. False. Muscovies are closer to swans than turkeys. Indeed they are. And not all ducks quack. Yes, of course. Now I will say taxonomy differs depending on the source, but the closest relatives of Muscovies and the placement of whistling ducks is generally agreed upon. So my points still stand at the moment.